Hello, welcome to this new video. We are so back. I had a wisdom tooth removed that was really close to my nerve, so I couldn't really talk properly, and now I'm back with a video about a Corviknight IV deep dive. And this is going to be for the new season. It's made a little bit early, but usually PvPoke has pretty good educated guesses on the attack updates. So I'm gonna use those for my calculations, and I'm gonna show you what I found. This is probably what you want to know. These are the IV spreads that I would recommend you look for in whatever you caught during Community Day. Yes, if you got cucked by a weather boost, so did I, unfortunate. I'm not going to tell you exactly yet what it's for, but I'll explain further in the video because I want you to watch longer than 10 seconds before dropping a comment. Is my Corviknight good enough? So what is this based on? If you're familiar with my videos, you can probably skip this part already. That's based on break and bulk points, and Corviknight has quite a few. A break point is where you deal one more damage with a fast attack. A bulk point is where you take one less damage from a fast attack. To put it more into detail, if your sensitive damage does 1 damage against a Pokemon, and Corviknight usually does only 1 damage versus most Pokemon, if you have a breakpoint, a higher attack, then it might be 2 damage percent attack, and you will hit harder. Your fast attack damage will be doubled, basically. And that's why it can be pretty big for one-turn fast attacks. Let's start with the Great League. Corviknight is a tough Pokemon to determine the best IVs for. I think that the best Corviknight is just a rank... the rank 2, I think, is the best one, which is the 0, 13, 14, followed by the 0... 13, 14, the rank 1, and the 2, 15, 15. Those all perform quite similar. The thing with Corviknight is it has a lot of bulk points that are around 132 defense, and that is that rank, those 3 IVs that I just listed. But if the opposing Pokemon has more attack, they can always negate it. That's why it's beneficial to have a higher defense, but you also want to maintain a higher HP to win, for example, more consistently against Lapras. Corviknight also has a lot of breakpoints, but they reach around 110 to 111 attack, which is impossible to combine with a high defense. I think the 15-15-1 is your best chance at getting both break and bulk points, but bulk points, you usually need such a high defense that's impossible to get both. Your best odds at getting it is both of those, but you'll lose, for example, Lapras because you have such a low HP stat. If we go more into restricted formats or show 6 formats where you can pick the Corviknight you want to use beforehand, you probably want to have a Diggersby Slayer, which the perfect IV for Diggersby Slayer will be the 5-4-1. This is an IV spread that has a decent defense and a very high attack. But if you can mess around on PvPoke and see if you have a Corviknight that has around 111.5 attack or so, that will reach the breakpoint. I think some defense will maintain some of your other matchups as well, and you don't need HP as much. It's impossible to combine all of it anyway. And then the last one I have for Great League is a Blastoise Slayer. You can reach a break and a bulk point into Blastoise. The break point is much more important because rollout increases 1 damage per 3 turns. It's not as impactful as 1 more sand attack damage per fast attack. The 6-8-3 is your best chance at taking down Blastoise more efficiently, but something that has around the same stats will definitely do the job. You want to focus on an average attack, higher defense, low HP here as well for Blastoise. The thing with Corviknight is it's tough to determine in one video to show you which matchups you're really going to pick up consistently, because Corviknight can run pretty much any combination. I think for Go Battle League, you want to run Air Cutter and Payback currently, or maybe Skytech gets buffed so much you want to prefer that, because Payback helps in the mirror and to Ghost type Pokemon a little bit. Iron Head is a weak attack, so it's not going to help as much. So it's kind of your offset that you have. Some of these matchups you'll pick up with Air Cutter and Payback. That's the simulation I've used. There might be some others that you can do better with Iron Head, such as Carbink. Corviknight can also pick up some Charge Attack Priority Tie. This is when 2 Pokemon throw their Charge Attack at the same time, and one of them will win. Obviously in the mirror, but 2 Payback don't knock out, so it will never be super relevant there. It's not going to really force shields as easily. Jellicent is also one where it's not as necessary. Blastoise is one. And Charjabug, if they run Volt Switch, you probably lose anyway. But just keep in mind that if you have a higher attack, you could potentially farm up just a little bit more against these Pokemon. So that covers the Great League. Now we're moving on to the Ultra League. And I think Ultra League Corviknight is much more forgiving with IV spreads, but there are some things you want to keep in mind. You want as high stat product as possible as you want. And these are some of the best IVs that I found that perform very similar. If you have a very low defense and HP, you can actually lose to Empoleon, Feraligatr, and Giratina Altered with Dragon Breath. So you do want to aim for that. There's also some breakpoints. While some of these are helpless or don't change as much, there's a breakpoint into Skeledirge. You don't need as high attack. I think the best IV that you can have is the 2-7-13. And if you have Air Cutter and Payback, you can actually win this match in all evens, even if the Skeledirge keeps boosting up with Torch Song. So that's if you're like into restricted formats, you might want to have that Corviknight ready for the Skeledirge. And then another target for Corviknight is Blastoise. Again, Blastoise, if you have around 140 attack, you reach a sand attack breakpoint and you win the one shield scenario. The best IV to do this is a 6-4-14. This is mostly based off a high HP. You don't need as much defense because rollout is not going to do as much. And you need some attack to cover that matchup as well. But generally for Go Battle League, I would recommend that high stat products. You also potentially can win against some movesets of Steelix, and you can also have a better match into Cobalion. So it's tough to combine everything into this. If you want to cover Skeledirge and Blastoise specifically, you might want to build extra Corviknight. And otherwise, if you don't, if you want to have a general, or just one Corviknight, then just build the best one you have. I got none of these because of the weather boost, so I hope you have more success than I did. And I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one. Bye bye.